Yo, 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 what they do, what they do. I'm your host, Aaron J. Jackson, also known as Marvin Bay, and I welcome you to the 38th episode of Behind the Beard podcast. And right here, we got the homie Smitty in the house. Yo, for the people that don't know who you are, introduce yourself.
What's up? My name is Smith Durogene, but everybody calls me Smitty.
And what do you do? You do a lot of things, so.
Shit. I mean, I don't even know where to begin as far as on what I do. I guess
Because you do a lot, so I don't even want to put you in a box. So
I guess as far as 2020 would be considered, let's just say I wear many different hats. It's hard for me to answer that question because I don't really hold the ego to anything, or I don't like to place myself to a specific title. If I could be a director one day, and then I could be somebody assisting the next person the next day. You know what I mean? I play I play whatever position that the role needs. You know.
yeah, I like that. I like that question. I mean, like that answer. So where you from originally, and how was your upbringing like?
I'm originally from South Florida, born and raised in West Palm Beach and Lake Worth.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Well, I was just born in Lake Worth, but I grew up in Broward County in Fort Lauderdale. To be a little bit more detailed, in Sunrise. And I guess my upbringing, well, both of my parents are Haitian. So I'm pretty much like a third generation kid. And my upbringing was very strict. It was definitely strict. I was definitely one of those kids on LD, on lockdown. Mom wasn't really like letting you go outside and try to figure life out. They pretty much were trying to tell you like, okay, here's the rule book to life, and just trust me, and you'll go by that.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Especially, I definitely know that feeling because my grandma, you know, that's the grandma. Grandma want to secure you, so you know.
Right.
So when did you start picking up a camera?
I first picked up the camera, I want to say at, I think 16 years old. I was literally at the Oakland Park flea market, and it was like one of those electronic booths, and I still remember it was a Canon G1 and whatnot. I don't know.
It was more like a G1. That's like a video camera.
It's like one of those point and shoot digital
okay. I think that's everybody's first camera.
I might be butchering the name on the exact camera that it was, but that was my first camera, and I don't know. I just always been gravitated to just capturing memories. Like I don't have any baby photos of myself.
Oh wow.
Neither does my brother or my sister, and my mom doesn't have any wedding photos and stuff like that. Those are personal things or whatever like that. But growing up in that type of environment without having any of that stuff to look back to, I guess subconsciously, like photography was just one of those things for me to just like make sure I always have memories.
So why do you think it drew, like why you drew into photography? Because, you know, it could be the little simplest thing and it grows on you.
Damn, like I'm really just trying to go back. So like my friends also did photography too. So shout out to my homeboy Pop and my homeboy Noodle. They were already into photography from even before I was and whatnot. And so they were into photography, and that actually kind of gravitated me towards it even more because of watching them, what they do, and I was just like, wow, that's dope. Like, I want to do that too. Yeah. You know? I don't know, bro. It's hard to answer that question because I think I naturally just get inspired every day, just wanting to create. And
yeah, because it could be the simplest things. Is you look into the sky, look at the sky today. Right. You know what I'm saying? There's no clouds. It's just you just want to cruise and just. So it's just you're right about that. Just the simplest shit, you know.
And it's funny too because it's like I'm still close with them. You know what I mean? And it's we all still do, you know, photography in our own type of way and whatnot. So it's just kind of cool to just see us come from that and still be, you know, sticking to our passion and what we love.
Don't that shit just be crazy? Yeah. Like, you just like, you don't know why the fuck you keep on doing it, but you just keep on doing it and it just grows on you and makes it like, it's kind of like a passionate thing. It grows on you.
I'll be real. Like, even as a kid, like when I did pick up the photography, because, you know, I wasn't always how would you say, like, I took it seriously as I should have back then. But it was always one of those things where I was like, I know I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Whenever I like knock out of like that nonsense I'm doing and stuff like that, it's photography is going to be the thing that I do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That's one choice that I knew that I made.
So you said your homies was like the ones that kind of like got you into it.
Right,
you look into it. What photographers did you look up to that inspired you to keep on photographing?
So, you know, I didn't grow up the traditional way on how some, you know, creatives or photographers, as an example, did, where they had those inspirations from the guys from back then, pretty much the people that paved our ways and stuff like that. So honestly, like, my inspiration was coming from my own peers. You know what I mean? Like, even with, you know, that era of MySpace around and stuff like that, you know, and social media and like Flickr and Photobucket, it was just like you just wanted to just be in the mix of that world and whatnot, and that was just my way of contributing to that. So I guess to answer your question, I was literally just inspired by what I seen all around me. But, you know, I don't think I've created a style yet. I didn't get a style yet, you know. Eventually, I started becoming, you know, fans of other people and whatnot. But, you know, to be honest with you, even now, like, they're still like my peers and my friends, you know.
Yeah. It's so crazy because that time was just a crazy time. Like the MySpace days, the Flickr days, like I can only imagine how stuff was around that time, because you like photography was not where it was back then to what it is now, and you just see, you know, you post pictures and shit on MySpace on your pictures, and people be like, "Yo, damn, bro, book me," or whatever the case may be. And then, you know, niggas had parties and shit like that.
Yo, I mean, listen, hey, social media definitely raised the status quo of photographers and photography and whatnot, because now it's just one of those things. Like, I mean, this is before, you know, smartphones even had like a crispy camera or anything like that. So it's just like, yo, we have to get these photos. We have to get this person. We like, we need to always, you know, keep this stuff pumping. And, you know, gradually that's pretty much the start of social media and like how photography and social media just ended up
correlated.
Exactly.
So how did you figure out how did you figure out to get better with your photography, or figure out how, or this is supposed to be this? Because, you know, when you start off, it's just like, especially where we come from, you just start out just taking pictures and then you just mold yourself into doing that. Does your friends have a part of that as well, or?
Yeah, for sure. So like a funny story is, like, me and my homeboy Pop, what we actually did, I remember there was this studio that pretty much did rentals, and they had like a package deal pretty much where, or like a membership type of thing where you signed up for the membership and you'll get X amount of hours and whatnot. So we pretty much put our money together. We didn't know anything about studio lighting, strobe lighting, or anything like that, but we put our money together and we'll just go there and just shoot, hit people up, be like, hey, come over. Like, he'll be shooting on his side, I'll be shooting on my side. Keep in mind, like, now we probably wouldn't do something like that just because of light bouncing and stuff like that. But like, we were just hungry, dog. Like, it was just one of those things where it was just like, we're sitting here and buying magazines and stuff like that. Okay, we want our photos to look like this. You know what I mean? Like, how do we get it to look like that? YouTube, like, we're just always just trying to search knowledge and gain knowledge and stuff like that. And, you know, looking back at it now, you know, we were literally, I guess we didn't really realize that, you know, we were sharpening our tools and whatnot, but that's what it is, you know.
I guess you could say you was like kind of like experiencing it, or again, you know, it's like a project. You just, like a project in school, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You just trying to get the grade, or you just trying to make the shit work. You know what I'm saying?
And you know, we didn't know it then, but I guess we know it now. But we were literally completing our 10,000 hours. You know what I mean? We were literally like just putting our hours in, you know, and it's just crazy. Like, I always think back, and just even now I always say, like, it's hard for me to look at what I do as work. You know what I mean? It's hard to look at, I put 10,000 hours into something that I put my life into. You know what I mean? I couldn't even tell you when I hit that peak or whatnot, you know what I'm saying? But nah, for sure.
So you talk about lighting, and you know, everybody, I know I'm a photographer as well, and I'll go to him for come down to lighting. So how did you master lighting? Like how did you? And I feel like you still mastering to this day or still learning. But how did you get into lighting?
I wish I can quote the person that I heard this from, but it was a long time ago. But he said something about like something into the term of bending light, and that always like was weird. I'm like, how do you bend light? Like, what the hell is bending light? And so, you know, on the contrary, like while I was learning about the camera aspect and the technicalities of, you know, how the camera works and whatnot, I was more looking into how lighting is. You know what I mean? Granted, I mean, luckily, actually, I had other people around me to help me understand, like, hey, it doesn't really matter what type of camera you're using. It's really like your lighting. You know what I mean? If you don't have that, you know, on point, then just forget about it. You know what I'm saying? So till this day, I'm still studying lighting. I'm still trying new things. I'm still trying to, you know, perfect it and stuff like that. Because I think lighting is the most key part of photography for sure.
I agree, because it's kind of like you don't really realize it, but when you watching movies and stuff like that, when you was a kid or growing up, you're like, damn, you know, you just think about the script or think about the storyline, but then the more older you get or the more you dive into photography or cinematography or whatever, you start to understand lighting has a big part of the telling a story. And even photography, just to tell a story within a picture, you got to tell that story within the lighting. So it makes sense. But what made you like officially pursue it? This is what I'm gonna do. Was it the school, or was it just like, okay, I already learned this shit, so I just want to take it to the next level?
You mean as far as in like photography was?
Photography and lighting, but predominantly lighting first.
All right, so like lighting, so with lighting, it's actually pretty tricky. I mean, funny too, even with lighting, like what you mentioned the whole thing about watching movies and TVs, because I look at everything completely different. Like sometimes I'm just looking at how they light it, and then I'm making sure that the next scene or the next angle is complements the way that they light it in the first angle and whatnot. But I guess I started really taking it seriously when I just understood how important it is, you know what I mean? Like learning that, hey, you can be shooting with a $50 camera and somebody could be shooting with like a $3,000 camera, but hey, if my lighting is on point more than that guy with the $3,000 camera, like I'm gonna have better results than that person is, you know what I mean? So I guess onto that point, I started taking it more seriously when I understood how important it was.
So about your craft, when did you want to take it to that next level or take it more seriously in your perspective?
So yeah, I think I didn't start taking, so I've been shooting photography, I guess, I don't know, I tell people like 13 to 15 years, I can't really like, because I say I picked up my first camera at 16, but I was still dabbling with it before. But I honestly didn't take photography seriously for like maybe 5 years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, and when I started to see the potential that I could have, and not to say that there weren't people around me letting me know that I have potential and that I could be doing this and I could be doing that, but it's almost, not saying that it's hard to take the opinions of the people that are not in the same field as you, because it's just like, sometimes you just think they see a photo and they automatically think, oh, it's an amazing photo.
Yeah.
And not saying that their opinions don't matter and whatnot, but sometimes you're looking for that person that, you know, holds that weight in that type of lane to let you know, like, okay, you're in the right direction and stuff like that. But granted, though, you know, I always, especially to like other people, especially people in the coming up, I tell them the exact opposite. I'd be like, yo, don't look for any validation. You know what I mean? Just keep doing what you're doing. So it's almost like, you know, it's almost like I'm
especially in the photography,
myself.
especially in the photography field, when you come up and you go, for instance, when I was in high school, I was like about 16 when I took my first photography class, and it was in high school, and the teacher, you know, he'll tell you, like, yo, this is wrong, this is that, you know what I'm saying? But then it's like, it kind of gets you discouraged. Like, damn, like, I don't know, like, you know what I'm saying? But then the more you get into the game, you know, it matters to certain stuff that you should learn. But then again, it's your art, you know what I'm saying? I definitely feel that. What would you say is was your biggest roadblock as an upcoming photographer coming up in the game?
That's my biggest roadblock was myself. I used to always do a lot of trying to prove things to others when, and that's like besides the point of photography. I think, you know, growing up, especially, you know, as a black man in South Florida and whatnot, like you get caught up. It's so easily to get caught up in the life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for a while, I was caught up into that. You know, knowing that I have this talent and knowing what I can do with it and where I can take it. You know, but again, I think it was myself that blocked me from getting there because, you know, I want to be caught up in the life, or I want to be pleasing people that doesn't really even have no value to your life or your future and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, it's definitely a lot of growth. And once I ended up figuring that out, it was like, it was one of those things where I just, okay, this is what they were talking about. Like, you got no limits.
You got to really experience the situation in order for you, you know, because sometimes us as people, we don't, especially the way we grew up, like, our parents will probably tell us one thing. You're like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
It's like you inside, I'm outside. Like, you can't, but they know. You know, they definitely know.
How do you continue to educate yourself, learning the things you know? It could be life as well, but majority like photography. Like, how do you continue to educate yourself?
You know, besides like books and, you know, YouTubes and tutorials and stuff like that, I try a lot to just communicate with other creators in the field, and they don't even have to be photographers. They can be stylists, they can be directors, they can be somebody, even the makeup artist and whatnot. I just love, I think the best way to learn is by communicating with other people's in the field. Not only, of course, you know, by actually putting the hours and the work in too, but you can learn so much by just listening.
Because it gives you perspective, like a different perspective on how they view the, you know, picture or the, you know, the video that you put your art in and stuff like that.
I love listening. I love just sitting down with somebody that I never met into that field and just hearing their point.
And just having a conversation. Even with life.
You
know, with life, just sitting down, you know, like I can only imagine with you, but like sitting down with people, just having a conversation with people, and you could get inspired by just having that conversation and then use that to your art or whatever you decide to do.
It's and there's so many times where I'll come across, you know, up and coming photographers and stuff like that, or someone that probably hasn't had the same amount of hours that I've put in and whatnot. And Aaron, you'll be surprised. Like, of course, if they ask me something, I'll let them know. I don't ever try to hold back any type of knowledge that can help someone. But bro, I'm sitting there listening to what they gotta say, because I didn't grow up the traditional way of how most, you know, photographers, especially established photographers, grew up. I'm a self-taught photographer. I'm someone that got plenty of doors closed in my face. I could have literally been said, like, forget this, you know what I mean? So I didn't, like I said, I didn't grow up that traditional way. So, you know, some of these new guys or people that's coming up that did have that traditional way, I listened to them, because sometimes they're going to say something that I didn't catch, you know, coming up in the photography world. You know what I mean?
It's the little things.
It's always the little things. And I never turn away anybody. Again, somebody that's just starting up or somebody that's just been in there for 30, 40, 50 years or whatnot, just because you don't know what might come out that person's mouth that might help you out in the next, you know.
It's the little thing.
It's always the little things.
No, because, you know, like you said, like, I'm self-taught, so it's like trying to figure out getting doors closed. Like, people don't understand, like, being a black photographer or not even just black photographer, because, you know, people do get opportunities, but it's just like coming from where we come from, not knowing certain shit. It's just like it get frustrating.
Definitely.
Because motherfuckers will like, man, fuck this shit. I'm gonna just figure out some other shit, and then you know, sometimes the cycle just continues. But can you remember your first shoot? However, you just, you know, the first ever shoot.
Damn. Yo, so what's crazy, I think my first shoot was a shoot of myself. I put it on a tripod and a self-timer, and I was heavy into skateboarding back then. And I literally was trying to take this for MySpace. I was trying to take some photos of me doing a kickflip. But nah, I think my first shoot without that wasn't with me, with an actual client. Wow, I gotta go back and think about this. I think it was actually an artist. His name was Mike Beats. I think he goes by a different name now. He's actually a dancehall artist, but I think that was my very first shoe, and it was actually a shoe with direction too. Surprisingly, now
Was
that
you
I think
nervous?
about it, no, it definitely had direction. Yeah, in the beginning, yeah, because you're not sure, you know.
Yeah.
And I think I was using like, I think I was still using like the Canon G1 and
Yeah.
shit. I'm like holding it with the viewfinder out and stuff like that.
Yo, I remember my first shoot, it was in Wynwood. When Wynwood just like flat, and then the Wynwood building just opened, like
Right.
it literally just opened, and it was two girls from high school. I never forget. Her name was Barbie. One of them was a white girl named Barbie, and then it was a black girl named Zoe. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was like, yo, it's like, yo, you want to do it here? I was like, yeah. Niggas, I ain't know the settings or nothing. I'm like, yo, I think this is. And then I ain't have Photoshop back then, so I used some online shit.
Yeah.
Everything was oversaturated, contrast, and I was just like, yo, okay, I guess it's good. And you think it's good, and then you look back at this shit like, oh, this shit is dumb trash, like dumb trash.
Yeah, I think again, like one of the best things I guess the lucky things about me, like growing up in photography, that I had friends around me that already were doing it and stuff like that. So I would literally just pick off of what they're doing and just learn off their errors and their mistakes, and I'll also learn off my errors and my mistakes as well.
Trial and error is your best friend. That's all I can say.
Always.
So how did you get into photographing for 89? Because you had that relationship for a very long time. So how did you start photographing for them?
So 8 and 9, shout out to Ray. Wow, I'll never forget. So my boy actually, rest in peace to KJ. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. Respect Fresh. Very, 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 very dope person. He was definitely someone before his time. But he was actually shooting with 8 and 9 first. And KJ's actually one of the friends that I grew up into photography with.
Okay.
So he was doing it with them and whatnot, and pretty much they ended up hitting me up and it was just like, hey, we love to have you with us as well. You know what I mean? I was doing like a lot of freelance work by myself and stuff like that, and they reached out to me and it was like, hey, let's do some work together. And one shoot ended up becoming 2 shoots, 2 shoots ended up becoming 3 shoots. Next thing you know, like, we're doing in-house stuff, and it's just gradually become getting to where we are now. And I have a lot of appreciation for them, is because like I had no business in that. I never did e-com, you know what I mean? I never shot white wall and stuff like that. Yes, I had like studio experience and stuff like that, but I had no idea about streetwear, and I'll never forget, they literally gave me a box of clothes and they were like, go do something. And I was like, all right, fuck it, let's go do it.
And then that continued to grow into learning the whole, logistics of shooting e-commerce and stuff,
right?
And like lookbooks,
lifestyle
like
campaigns and all that. Yeah, for sure. No, shout out to 8 and 9 for sure.
Shout out to Ray, man.
Yeah, for definitely building that platform.
How would you describe your style of work? Because you have a distinct style. Since the first day I looked at your work, it just.
I think
like look at this shit. Look at the shit we looking at right now. Like
I wish they could see it too. Dog. I think my style goes by. I'm starting to realize my style is seasonal.
What you mean by that?
What I mean is just like, and not saying like a full season, but we're just gonna use seasonal as an example. But like this season, like I'm shooting this type of way. You know what I mean? I'm shooting this type of way because this is how I'm feeling. This is the type of vibe that I want to give off. This is like this is how my energy. You know what I mean? And then, hey, next season, I'm not feeling that no more. You know what I mean? And I'm feeling on doing this, and I want to portray this type of work. You know what I mean? But I didn't really put that into perspective until recently, because I was always on the other end of, I don't want to be stuck to a specific style. Yeah. Because I actually almost envy it, the people that do have a specific style, because it's one of those things where somebody can see your work and they could automatically point it out and be like, oh, that's such and such. You know what I mean? Because of that style. So in a way, I almost envied it, but at the same time, it was one of those things where, well, that's almost boring because it's like you have to stick with that specific style, and like you can't really toy around with the lighting, or you can't toy around with, you know, like your settings, because you have to please your consumers, your fans. You have to please the people that follow you, and stuff like
that mentally gonna drain you.
Right. So, I mean, for some it does. For some people, it works out perfectly fine for them. But again, you know, for me now that I put things in perspective, it's like I do have a style, but it changes up. You know what I mean? I go and start to look for a specific.
So pretty much it'll be like whatever mood you feel at that moment.
Right.
That's your mood,
Right.
and I can see that.
Right.
Especially like when I first seen your work from the beginning, it has a variety of different things on how you feeling. Like, you know, you'll have a portrait right here, and then next thing you know, you'll have something totally different from that.
Right.
You know, in that perspective or that time that you was feeling and stuff like that. What would you say it has to be like? I know it's hard because it's like every picture is probably your baby's, but what has to be your favorite picture that you ever took, or at least you know?
I think actually it just changed. At first, the first picture was taken in Pompano, and it's this like 3-year-old girl on the second floor of the stairs, and she's like on
the stairs.
Yeah,
The railing.
The railing, yeah. She's in front of, but she's like holding on to the bars, and like she has her head out there, and it looks super dangerous and whatnot. But it's just like that. I always look at that photo, and it's just like, wow, like this is, because it's just a reminder of where I'm from, and like our lifestyle. And for me, it's totally normal, but for the next person looking at it, it's probably like taboo, like, oh my God, she's already about to fall down the second floor and stuff like that, you know. But right now, it's actually not here right now. It's at my home, but it's from my recent trip to Colorado.
Yeah, I seen that one.
And it's like the purple sky with the, oh my God, like that, yo, like, and I know you'll appreciate it too because it was done on slide film at that. Yeah. It's the sun's going down. You know what I mean? I'm talking about shutter speed on like a good 30 seconds. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, bro, when I got the negatives back, it was just like, oh
I know you had to get it right away.
It was like, oh my God. It was like, wow. And when I was done, I printed it. I think I printed it like 40 by 60. And then I framed it on like some mahogany wood. And it's right now it's in storage. Yeah. Because when I'm ready to put it up, I'm gonna put it up. But right now, that's my prized possession right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, cause I seen that shit, and that's just. And when you went to Colorado and you posted on Instagram, I was like, oh shit, I can only imagine what this looking like. Especially like this one right here on the left, like you just, what would you say? Like what? Not grass, but.
So that's it's a texture of grass. It's I don't want to say it's pampas grass, but it is like a hay type of grass type of thing and whatnot. But yeah, man. I mean, that was actually taken in the Rocky Mountains as soon as you hit in the entrance and whatnot. And like as soon as I got in there, you see this big open field with this lake in the middle, and it's just like, yo, you're just a city boy.
Yeah.
Going out there into the middle of nowhere and just seeing all this space. And at that moment in time when I took those photos, I was like, I'm here in God's country. Yeah. Like this is God's country. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
even like the way you photograph it, it's like the lighting is like, I could feel like I'm there just looking at it, and the light is just hitting the grass. You know what I'm saying?
No, and that's another thing too. You know, a lot of people don't know, but I literally take random trips to places like that. You know, and just sometimes I'll do it by myself. Sometimes I'll do it with a friend. But I'll literally take trips to go in the middle of nowhere to just capture life, capture God's creation. You know, that's what I love to do.
Just experimenting.
Right.
Especially the New Orleans trip that you took that one time.
New Orleans was dope. New Orleans, I literally went there for a day.
Yeah.
And I got a rental and just started driving around New Orleans, just trying to just see what's up. I never been there, and I was just like, I want to see what's it about.
I still gotta go. I never been there.
Bro, it's amazing.
That's like on my to-do list. Like,
yo, the crazy thing about New Orleans too is like, so you always hear like the Ninth Ward and stuff like that, and they're still affected by the hurricane.
Katrina, yeah.
So it's like you'll have like the streets is right here, and then across the street is like suburbs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you'll have like a residential home right here, and then you'll have like the trap next door, and then another residential home like right there.
Yeah.
And it's not even, and you can't really section it off like, okay, this is the hood and this is the suburbs and stuff like that. It's all in one. You know what I mean?
That's
so
crazy.
It's definitely very.
I think I did hear about that because you started to hear Airbnbs and stuff like that. I heard the homie, it was in the middle. I think Ninth Ward as we speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, that shit. I gotta go because I feel like New Orleans kind of similar to down here. Right here, like, you know what I'm saying, like the perspective of culture, as of like, the booty shaking music, like, you know what I'm saying, but it's different, but it's still like kind of like the same. I don't know, I can't speak on that because I've never been there, but
it definitely is an interesting city. I love, let me tell you, I love the way they talk over there. The way it's like, I'm bucking with that, you know what I'm saying? I love,
baby.
I love.
They got sauce in they shit.
Nah, for sure, definitely a lot of sauce over there. I love New Orleans, and I can't wait to go back over there.
I heard the food out there is good too.
Surprisingly, I'm not like, I just started eating like seafood and stuff like that, so I didn't really get to try like their crawfish and their seafood, what they known for and whatnot. I was only there for the day, but that's what I heard that's what they known for.
So how did you get into like the creative direction for Rolling Loud?
Wow, so I even like till this day, like I'm definitely first of all, shout out to Tarek and Matt for even presenting that opportunity for me and whatnot. And how that pretty much came about, I'm very close with Tarek even before all this happened and whatnot. And I seen that they had pretty much a collection, a whole merchandise lane and whatnot, and I just felt like there were just certain things that I could have capitalized on that they weren't doing. You know what I mean? And so I just remember like, all right, man, I'm gonna take this brand, I'm gonna create a whole campaign for you guys, I'm gonna hire this person, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna come out of pocket for it. You know what I mean? And, I did that enough times to the point where it was just like, yo, wait, why don't we just get you as the, the creative director here and whatnot? And I was like, all right, cool, let's run it. You know what I mean? And, eventually, that position I ended up doing more than what I was used to. But it wasn't like a bad thing. It was just more of one of those things like, all right, now we're in the game. You know what I mean? Like, now let's really like start doing what I really want to do, you know what I mean? So
that's wild. And how do you enjoy it, like, you know what I'm saying, like as a creative director? Because creative direction, I mean, it correlates with photography, but that's like another like task. So how do you like or enjoy it right now?
I like it. I like it a lot. I'll be honest, I remember when they first, just like how you say, like when they first gave me the role, I went on Google and was like, yo, what does a creative director do? You know what I mean? Because I think that's such a vast, like a broad word.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? Because you have your creative directors, you have your art directors, you know what I mean? So it is a very broad word. And, for a while, I was almost like, yo, am I doing this right or am I doing that right? I would start to reach out to people that was in the same lane and figure out, and then eventually, when you start to put the hours in and stuff like that, you start to figure out, oh, okay, like this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is how it's supposed to be done. Like you start figuring it out and whatnot. So, for sure, like that whole title and whatnot can just play so much different roles and whatnot.
What do you think is the misconceptions of being a creative director?
Oh man, damn, that's a good one. That is a good one. I don't know what the misconceptions that they have on creative directors. Granted, I do see, people label themselves as that, and I feel that you can do whatever you like, you know what I mean? But I think a lot of people just think that a creative director is just somebody that just comes up with an idea and then that's it. You know what I mean? And it's so much deeper into that. And I mean, granted, I didn't think that's what it was. You know what I mean? I did my research, but it has so much to do. You're dealing with other people. You're managing other people. Of course, you're pitching ideas. You know what I mean? You're getting some ideas pitched. They're getting pitched down, and you got to come up with new things. You know what I mean? you know, I deal with the merchandising and all that too. So it's just like coming up with ideas and looks for that and stuff like that, you know. So it's definitely more than just coming up with the idea, you know. It's all like finding, okay, this person might be perfect fit to do this. This person, it's like even like delegating, putting people in the right roles because in their strong points, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, I definitely think that's probably one of the big miscommunication on what a creative director does is just coming up with an idea and then you think your job is done.
Yeah. How do you kind of like balance the photography perspective and the creative direction? I know it correlates, but in your perspective, like how do you balance each other?
You know, I don't really like, I say it sometimes, but I don't really like saying it because I think I do sometimes, but I don't really have an ego in certain things, and I guess photography is one of those things. So like there's plenty of times where of course I can do the shoot, but I feel like, okay, that person might be a better fit for that shoot. You know what I mean? Or like I'm always looking at what people are doing, especially in my field, because I feel like there's certain things that I can do, but I always feel like there might be somebody that can probably do it better. Or I might not be the person to shoot that. Maybe I'm the person to help curate it. Maybe I'm the person to just help overlook it. You know what I mean? So I always sometimes try to take myself out the picture when it's for a project or something like that to see if somebody else is better fit for it. But you know, if it's something where, you know, it's a simple shoot or in-house or something like that, usually I'll just take care of it. You know what I mean? Just because I know I can take care of it. You know, but and on another thing too, I'm always just trying to help and like empower the next person. You know what I'm saying? Just because of the
That's
fact
real.
that it's like if you're good at what you do, I want to help. You know what I'm saying? I want to use that to like help both of us. You know what I'm saying?
Would you say you like that because of the opportunities got shut down before? For
sure. Like honestly, I always used to tell myself like, yo, if anybody comes and asks me anything, whatever, you could have like free game. You know what I mean? Just because it's like, yo, there's so much things I always wanted to know, or like I try to inquire about, and you know, because I don't have a certain look, or I don't have a certain amount of followers, or I don't know this person, or I don't know that person, I just automatically get shut out. You know what I mean? And I don't know what that does for other people, but for me, all that did was just make me hungry. It's like, okay, I'm gonna find out now, and when I do find it, like you're gonna know that I found out, you know. But at the same time, like I don't ever want to give that same energy to the next person and whatnot, because I don't want that person to feel like despiteful or like they, you know what I mean? Like, nah, bro, here's the game, you know. When I was younger, though, you know, people would always ask me like, hey, what kind of camera you use? And I used to be a dick and be like, oh, I use a point and shoot from Publix. You know what I'm saying?
I can picture that.
I used to do that, and then eventually I ended up, you know, I got older and just started realizing like, oh, why are you doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously this person, you know, had enough confidence to come to you and ask you a question, and you shouldn't, you know, just be so indirect with them. You know what I mean? Because this shit is accessible to everybody. You know what I mean? So why are you the one to act like it's not? You know what I'm saying? So, nah, for sure. Like, I'm always just trying to spread the knowledge just because of that. I think if I didn't go through that, I don't know what I would be doing. You know?
So how do you keep the balance of, you know, doing photography, creative direction, and having quality time for yourself? Because it ain't easy, you know, dealing with them too, and then you gotta do a lot of work.
It's definitely not easy. A wise person always told me, though, make sure you make time for you. Always make time for you. So, you know, granted, I work with a few other brands, not only Rolling Loud at 8 and 9, but of course, like, my key thing is just to make sure all my T's are crossed and all my I's are dots and stuff like that. But I never lose the fact that I work on my own personal things. You know, I have to work on my own personal things, because if I don't, then now it gets turned into work. You know what I mean? And that's the last thing that you want to do, is make anything, especially in that field, seem like work, because you lose that love for it, you lose that hype for it, you lose that, like, what we doing next, you know what I mean? So I mean, I wake up early, bro. I tell you that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm up at like 5 o'clock in the morning every single morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm probably done with my day by like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. You know what I'm saying? So
Damn.
if I'm not doing, like, if I don't have a shoot booked or I don't have a meeting to go to and stuff
Wait,
like
you
that.
done with your day 9 a.m.?
Yeah.
Like literally 8 a.m.?
8 a.m.
And you wake up at 5?
I wake up at 5, and I'm usually like, and when I mean,
Oh,
like,
you be done by the you be.
I'll be done in like 4 hours, pretty much. Like
Oh, that's what I said.
So it's just like, as far as like editing photos, sending emails out, or like, you know, just little tests, responding to people and stuff like that, I'm done with that by 9 a.m. and whatnot. But again, like, if I have any photo shoots or anything like that, of course, you know, that's gonna get done. But yo, my day is pretty much free to just create and just think of shit, what to do next, or go, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always, and that's why another reason why I do like to finish my day earlier, because I'm always searching for inspiration. Always. And you can't really find it if you just clouded in your work all the time.
Especially when you got a whole load of work, you know what I'm saying?
I'm definitely a believer in just getting all that shit out the way, and then you could play later.
Yeah.
You know?
I kind of know the answer to this, but film photography or digital photography, and why?
Yeah, man, you know, man, film ain't dead over here, man. Shout out to my medium format boys in the building. You
Oh
know
God,
and my 35 millimeter guys. Nah, seriously though, definitely film. And the reason I say film is because film taught me to appreciate photography. Film taught me the patience. Film helped me understand color, helped me understand so much more. Like, don't get me wrong, digital taught me the technical side. It taught me lighting. It taught me what I needed to learn to get to where I am with the medium. I think one of my biggest issues when I first started shooting, especially with digital, was I was trigger happy. You know what I mean? I'm talking about, and within 30 minutes, I probably got like 200 shots, which is nuts.
Especially looking through the files and shit.
I feel bad for my camera count. But with that being said, you know, not only was I trigger happy with, you know, the camera, but also, you know, the interaction that you have with these models or whoever that you are shooting with is like one and done. You know what I mean? And me personally, like, I've grown to not like to just point a camera in somebody's face and then that's it. Because I might be a little too deep in it, but I almost feel like you're taking a piece of that person's soul. And so it's just like, I love medium format has taught me, okay, you know, like, get to know that person, sit down with that person, find out what that person is like, you know what I mean? Like, and then let's go capture a moment. Make sure that person like felt something and got exactly a moment out of our shoot, instead of it being 2 hours, 30 minutes, 200 shots, and you just got a whole bunch of pictures.
I agree, because every time I like shoot certain people, I don't know when I'm gonna see them again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I photograph them, I want to create that moment. So when we look back at the picture, for however long we look at it, I'm like, damn, boy, I remember that time. You know what I'm saying?
It was a real memory.
Exactly.
You know?
And I always look at photographers like Annie Leibovitz or even Esteban Oriol or certain photographers like that, even Gordon Parks, and I look at them, I'm like, damn. Like when I look at pictures of Michael Jordan or certain artists and stuff like that, they probably had 10 minutes with them, and that was like the most probably peaceful moment that artist or athlete had with them.
Right.
And they just photographed them in the like peaceful, you know what I'm saying? Right. So I like with medium format or just like film, I get that, and that's why I shoot film. Even when it comes down to like the developing process, just like rushing, it's like you're a fiend. Like
it's like I gotta see. Sometimes for me, it's sometimes like, yo, just making sure that exposure is on point. But yeah, dog, it's like I don't want to be that person that just has a camera pointing in your face and I'm just, I just shot with that person. Like, no, like I don't want that to be our type of experience. You know what I mean? I want you to get a real experience, you know, when it comes to shooting and stuff like that, so you can go and look back and be like, damn, that was dope, or damn, that was cool. Or you might feel like, hey, man, damn, I probably didn't like shooting with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I want you to feel something. You know what I'm saying? Not just nothing.
So what would you say has to be your favorite camera of all time so far? Because you know you be getting cameras and shit.
Damn, dog, I don't even know. That's crazy. It's not crazy. I think the Mamiya RB67, man. That's the camera that changed everything. I think the camera that just changed my whole perspective into photography has to be my favorite. I would say my first one, but it literally has to be the one that definitely changed my perspective, and that's the Mamiya RB67, and I think I remember talking to you about that. Like, I bought that thing broken. About there was light leaks in it. The shutter wouldn't wind. The counter was broken on that thing, and I was in love. Like, that was my baby. You know what I'm saying? I ended up just getting the parts to make it right and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we about to end the interview. Any advice would you? Well, one other question. What would you tell your young self in the game on the stuff that you know now?
I would tell my younger self that you don't gotta prove nothing to no one. Just keep doing you. Like that. Literally, if I can go back, that's what I'll tell myself. Yeah.
Any advice for the people that want to take the similar path that you took?
Of course, number one, be yourself. You always be true to yourself. That's important. And if you truly love something, or if you feel like this is something that you want to do, like, put in the work for it. You know, I think, the problem with a lot of, especially people coming up, they feel like they're entitled to it, especially if they do one or two things and whatnot. And I think some of it, they don't ever put in the work that they should, you know. And I think definitely to just keep going further and stuff like that. Don't ever feel like you've done enough, because one motto that I always live by is nobody cares, work harder. Yeah,
facts.
So I think,
So how can the people get in contact with you?
So you guys can pretty much reach me on Instagram. It's my first name and my last name, Smith Durogene. Just Instagram. I don't really want you guys to hit me up on the other social medias. I'm pretty freaking toxic, dog.
Hey, oh God. I ain't gonna say nothing.
I'm so toxic.
But I appreciate you, man.
No, I appreciate
for coming
you,
through.
dog.
Well, not coming through at your spot, but for coming through to the show and showing some love, man. It is an honor, and I appreciate you. And this is the 38th episode of Behind the Beard podcast.
You already know. And hold on, I know you just finished, but I just want to say, you already know. I talk to you all the time, but big fan. I love what you're doing. I love how you pretty much got your stamp on everything, and it's like, if it ain't by Aaron Jackson, it ain't him, And I
appreciate it.
I think that's so important, especially with you being so young, to know that and to know about owning your own stuff and whatnot, because a lot of people don't understand that importance. So I just want to give you your flowers on that, for sure.
I needed that, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it. Episode 38, and we out.